So this is the TeaTime floral motif. This is a lot of fun and totally artistically up to you how you would like to paint it. I've mixed some colors from my tropical set. Of course, you can use your own. And I've chosen to do these leaves in more of a brighter celadon type green. And so I'll just come in here and take my end of my little brush and find places that I think are leaves from this drawing that I did a while ago. And if you make them into a flower petal, that's perfectly fine too, because no one will know but you. So I'm painting a few of these, kind of moving around, and then I'll add another layer on top in a minute to give it a little more dimension. And if you go out of the line like I did over here, you can always take a clear brush, not one with paint on it, and stamp that back. You may have to go over your other pieces, but that's okay. I've got this little strip of paper here so you can test your colors before you paint your picture. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the little leaves that I see right now. I'm running out of paint, and I think I used a little parrot, a little palm, and a little bit of that tiki. It's not the exact same color, but that's fine. I'll come in here and kind of add this color in so that it starts to add dimension, but also not make it look like I have two completely different colors of green. That just happens. I thought I had mixed enough, and I did not. So that's how I remedy that problem if they don't turn out exactly the same. Okay, that's what I see right now as the green. And I've got this darker green here, and I'm going to test this here. And I'm just going to kind of pop that in a few places. You can see I'm not doing that to every single one. It's kind of whimsical, so I like that. And then you can always go in and kind of blend some of these areas together to close the gaps, or just leave the white of the paper, which is also a nice little look. I'm going to start at the top and go down so I don't get my hand in too much of the drawing, or the painting, so you can make sure that you don't put your hand in these and then transfer that paint. So either wait till it dries or just paint the left to the right. It's up to you. So I'm going to use this sunset color that is a very pale pink in my example that I'm looking at, that I drew and painted before. I've taught a couple classes on this, and I'm just adding more pigmented areas in a few places, like so, and then I'll kind of pull that pigment into the remainder of that petal. I may go back in and kind of add some more pigment even later after that dries, because it's just going to keep moving and blending into each other. So I think actually I'll go ahead and take some of that away like that, and I'll come in with a darker and a little bit. Wasn't patient enough. Okay. So now I'm going to do this in Reef. With water added. Reef is a very, very intense color, so you want to make sure that you test it out before you start painting. Clearing my brush off, and now I'm going to pull some of that pigment into those petals. Like so. And now I'm going to do, this is just sunset with water. Do a little bit of better job depositing. I'm going to wait for that to dry just a little bit and move over here. This one I painted, use a little bit of a darker tone up here to contrast those two. Clearing my brush. Now I'll let that dry while I do this. That's what I meant to do over there. Got ahead of myself. And while that's still drying, I'm going to add some detail because I lost that. The water just dissipated everything. Now, I've cleared my brush off so that I can come in here. Now that it's kind of dry, it's a little harder to pull that pigment, but I squeezed some water into that. I'm kind of lightly scrubbing here. Whoop, I got that into my teacup. I really want to get rid of that there. And it's not completely gone, so I'll add darker near it and it'll look like it's gone. Gonna add a little more pigment into this flower and put more contrast there. Okay, now I have a few little flowers up here. I'm going to use the same color I'm going to use down here, so I'm kind of just going to dance my brush into those little flowers. Let that dry a minute and now I missed a couple leaves up here, so I'm going to go ahead and get those while I'm waiting for the other thing to dry. Let's see, got those leaves. Now I will do this flower here, the main event. Let that dry a second. And I did mix up a color or two that I could use for the cup because I do want it to look white, but I'll add some detail in there to make it a little more dimensional. So I'm using that. I have a black extra in my tropicals. You can mix up a version of gray. Now that is way too dark. So you want this to be dry, and you just kind of move your brush around so you don't get into your painting. Now I'm going to go over this with a clear brush. Do not get the black into that, or it will not look very pretty. Now deposit some extra color in there. And you can always leave the white of the paper in it too as a highlight or accent. So now back to this kind of gray, fairy light gray. Kind of the same thing where we want to only deposit a little bit of paint and then let it dry and pull it into the rest of our drawing, like along this edge, becoming a shadow. And I did make some of the rim of these gold, so I don't want to get too close to the edge because I'll go around that with some gold in a second. And now clear my brush better. Now I'm going to use this coconut as the gold. And use it sparingly here. I have all this lovely china from my grandmother, and I'm so thankful that she gave it to me. And now that she's no longer with us, it's so nice to host events and be able to use her pretty china. I know she would love the fact that it's being used. So if you have china or teacups, find an occasion, throw a little party, use your china. It's so fun. Okay, so that's the gist of it. And then you can also come in and add a little bit, as long as you're careful, a little bit of shadow. Like we did here, you can kind of test it first. Come in behind. These flowers are part of the dish itself, so we don't want to be too dimensional here, but maybe it's raised paint, you don't know. It can be whatever we say it is. Oh, we didn't get the centers of our flowers in here.